Hi, everyone. Welcome to Jen Smith Communications. I'm Jen Smith. I'm so happy that you could join me here today for the very first video of a series that I'm shooting on communication strategies. Now, we will focus on particular areas of communication in different videos as the series goes through. Today we are going to focus on just the very basics of communication. But first I'm going to just give you a little bit of a background about myself. I'm a human resources professional. I specialize in communication strategies and in recruiting or talent acquisition. Now, the very first thing that I am going to tell you, and it's probably the best piece of advice that I could give you to be a good communicator. It is better to be interested than it is to be interesting. Now, I know that might seem a bit against the grain for some of us because we love to tell stories. We love to talk, a lot of us, or most of us, and we love to be heard. And we think we're interesting. Everybody thinks they're interesting. And while I certainly think I may be interesting, there's plenty of people who certainly do not think I'm interesting. So it is better that we be interested and ask questions and be engaged in the conversation so that it can move forward than it is to be all about me. So the very first piece of advice I give you is to be interested in the audience or the person or individual or individuals that you are communicating with. And as I said, as the video series moves on, we will focus on work. We will focus on jobs. We will focus on, job hunting. We will focus on our relationships with family. We will focus on our relationships and communications with our friends. We will also focus on how we communicate on social media. And I have a wealth of experience to share from that. And a lot of what I have to share are my mistakes and my failures. And believe me, failures are set up for a comeback. It is a stepping stone. It's a learning experience. And from every failure I've had, along with the successes that I've enjoyed, I learn something and I apply it to my life as I move forward. So number one, and the very basics of communication, is to be present. Be mindful. There's a goal in mind, whether you're communicating with one individual or a group of individuals or in a work environment. There is almost always a goal in mind. People want to be entertained. People want to be interested. People want to learn. People want to be engaged in a positive experience that they are going to take with them, because we remember how we feel more so than what we remember what we hear. So the very first thing is being present and being mindful of the people that you are engaging with, and to know your audience and to read the room, so to speak, and to notice if there are individuals with a different racial or ethnic background or a minority in some way. So it's important that we recognize that we are not all the same and we have different influences that we bring to the table when we are in a conversation with somebody. The second thing that I would focus on is listening. And listening does not just involve hearing. Listening is actively paying attention and absorbing what it is that the person or the individual who is communicating with you, to what they're saying. Not formulating a response while they are speaking is crucial to actively listening. One of the tips that I would give out that I tend to use is to regurgitate what they have communicated to me. So I reiterate what I believe and what I have interpreted back to them to make sure that we are on the same page. And that affords them the opportunity to correct me or to provide me with further information to help provide clarity. The third point in communication strategy and just basic communication skills is to be engaged in the conversation. Nobody wants to have a conversation with someone who's off looking at something in the distance, or their phone dings and while they're telling a story you're looking through your phone, or you're fidgeting, or you're paying attention to what's going on at another table or in the background. So engagement is also asking questions, telling people about yourself, telling people about your experiences, telling stories about an experience that you've had makes you relatable as a person. People want authenticity, and that's one of the biggest things for me to be is authentic and to be truthful. And sometimes that truth is not pretty, and it's okay. It's okay to not be perfect. Nobody is. And I make mistakes all the time. And I'm sure I've made plenty right now. But the thing is, from these mistakes or setbacks or a failure, it is important that we recognize and learn from what we have taken from that experience and work on a different way to challenge yourself to improve in that area. Not everybody will agree with my fourth recommendation, but I think it's very, very important. Even in a work scenario, at times, depending on the environment that you're in, if you're in a culture that's a safe working environment, or in your personal life, or in a social media setting, for example, I like to lead with a bit of vulnerability. And of course, Brene Brown is the one who has taken the power of vulnerability to its highest level. And I have learned much from her and her teachings. And I have been working on humility for several years, and learning to let go of the high expectations of perfection. And it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to fumble. When I am public speaking, and I have done a lot of public speaking engagements, I host a show, The Truth Talks, and we host political guests and international speakers. So I am used to public speaking. I've run for office provincially and federally, and have participated in debates, and I have done many, many, many live videos. So it's something that even though I've done a lot, I still make mistakes. I still get nervous. I'm nervous today. It's the first video. As these videos go along, I will, of course, realize my own knowledge and expertise and be more confident. Not that I'm not confident, but I will exude more confidence as I do it. And it will be the same with you. The more you practice, the better you will get at anything. The last, number 5, key to communication, basic communications, is to look for common ground. With the social media that we have today and the internet and false information or misinformation out there, it is so easy to misinterpret what somebody is trying to say. We are lazy. We often aren't using the correct punctuation when we're communicating in a social media form or through text or messaging. Tone is impossible to convey or to interpret through a message or through reading. It's very, very difficult. So if you're having an important conversation, always have it in person, or at least if you cannot have it in person, do a video chat. Never, ever, ever have an important conversation with somebody that you care about over a text message or in any form of social media. I've lost friends and people that way, and I know many other people have as well. And we may be well-intentioned, and I certainly was myself. And if I can teach you anything to learn from my failure, is that we have important conversations with people that we care about in person. That way we can see which is coming next, nonverbal communication that is happening. There is always nonverbal communication clues that are happening as we are in a conversation. Eye contact, for example, posture. If someone has their arms crossed, They're trying to protect themselves. That means that they are uncomfortable, that they do not feel safe, or that they are in some way trying to protect themselves. They are reserved. And it might be just something like neurodivergency. I also have, and this is a part of vulnerability that I was talking about, I have ADHD. So it is a work in progress for me to constantly work on myself and be cognizant of my little quirks because of ADHD. I tend to say a lot. It's an example I could give you in my public speaking engagements that I often say when I'm looking to fill a blank. I will say well, So I tend to use a lot as a go-to to fill in a blank. And it's something that I am trying to work on myself. So again, I am never stopping learning things on a daily basis. So it's very important as we're working on our own self-improvement that we recognize the self-improvement of others. And the nonverbal communication skills such as breaking eye contact or fidgeting or, grabbing the phone and looking at it. These are ways that people are telling you that they are not interested in what you have to say. And that is also a way that you are letting others know that you are not interested in what they have to say. So in order to have a meaningful conversation and to reach that end goal that we were talking about in the beginning, we need to be completely present. We need to listen. We need to engage. We need to have a bit of vulnerability, and we need to tell our story. We need to find something relatable. And that could be anything from how much you love dogs to your job to your passions. People will actively engage more and open up if they're talking about something that they are passionate about. Now, I am passionate about many, many things, and communications is one of them. My grandmother was an English teacher, and I minored in English in university. So I happen to love English, and I happen to love communications. So it is something that I enjoy, but not everybody does. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Not everybody likes to talk. So the more questions you ask and the more attention you pay to what somebody is telling you, the better off that conversation will be. The very last thing that I'm going to leave you with is to be empathetic. We are losing empathy. The more we communicate online, the more we engage in social media and have less connectivity in person physically with people, we are losing our empathy. We are getting to be stone cold. And if there is one thing that I hope you take away besides my mistakes, learning from my mistakes, is to empathy, to actively try to put yourself in someone else's shoes and to acknowledge their pain, to offer validation that you do hear them and that what they have to say or what they are feeling or expressing has value. Because that is all any of us want. At the end of the day, we want to be heard. We want to feel valued, and we want to be participating in life. So your communication skills are the crucial aspect of how well your life will go. And it's applicable across the board, from your family to your friends and in the job or the work environment in your career. I want to thank everybody so much for joining me today. And again, I'm sure I made many mistakes. I will, work on improving things as I go as well. And I will give you a little teaser with the next video. We will be focusing on communication with our friends and how to avoid losing friends by not communicating with them in a message or online. So tune in if you want to hear any of my videos or the shows that I've done. You can find me at Jen Smith Communications wordpress.com. You can find me at thetruthmovement.nb on Facebook, and you can find me on LinkedIn. There's many different ways and I'm also on YouTube, Truth Talks Live with Jen Smith. There are many different forums that I have, and I will post a link in the comments to the different platforms that I have to work on different things. So we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, and have a great day, everybody.